I, in fact, want to talk from this premise. And if you didn't receive life notes, they'll offer them to you now. And that is that I, in fact, do believe, having said that all major faith views teach many of the same things and lead us to the same place or person. Now, it's going to take me a few moments to circle back to that and Jesus, all right? So be patient with me if you would. I believe that all major faith views do in fact teach many of the same truths and ultimately lead us to the same place or person. And this is what I mean by that. Most religions teach similar rules for life and the conduct of life, at least in broad strokes. And some people will use that as an indictment of any particular religion claiming to be unique or special, or anyone claiming to have a particular path to God. Because they'll say, for many, many thousands of years, the basic teachings of religion as it concerns human conduct, at least in broad strokes, have been the same. I would offer two responses to that. And the first one is that this is a marvelous argument for the existence of God, which we spent time around a couple weeks ago. And that is that teachings about right or wrong, or law, let's use that term, law, right and wrong, reveal a natural law or a lawgiver and our inability to measure up to the law, whatever it is and whatever system the law comes from. The fact is that ingrained in human DNA, if you please, is conscious. Or a conscience. The fact that we have the ability to determine what's right or wrong, to make a decision between right or wrong, and this points to a common moral lawgiver. It's one of the great arguments for the existence of God. Where did human conscience come from? Where did the ability to decide between right and wrong come from? Where did the concept of morality come from? It came from one source. And therefore, it's a beautiful thing to consider that all major faith groups have taught, again in broad strokes, the same basic morality for as long as anyone's able to study these kinds of things. It happened to Adam and Eve in the garden when they decided to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And this is part of the human condition. And so we ought not be surprised. In fact, we should celebrate the fact that all major religions basically teach the same things about human ethics and conduct and a concept of morality or right or wrong. In fact, C.S. Lewis, in his classic, The Abolition of Man, offers an appendix at the end of that book called the Illustrations of the Tao, or T-A-O, Illustrations of the Tao. And by that, he's talking about universal principles. He's talking about universal principles especially expressed in ethical thought and conduct. And C.S. Lewis, this great Christian thinker, is saying that, the basic rules of religion, though they are nuanced and different according to each particular religion, but basically they are in many ways saying the same thing. For instance, the idea of doing unto someone else as you want to have done to you. Jesus said that in Matthew 7, but He wasn't the first one to say it. It's been said by a number of leaders within religions and outside of religions. And C.S. Lewis goes back to talk about as far back as Babylonian sacred scripture. We're told to speak kindness, to show goodwill. Or outside of religion, just the natural law, universal principles, the law of the Tao thing. Cicero said, men were brought into existence for the sake of men, that they might do one another good. Or Hindu scriptures say, he who is asked for alms should always give. Or Jewish scriptures, of course, say in Leviticus, love thy neighbor as thyself. And Jesus said, do to men what you wish men to do to you. And if you look at C.S. Lewis's appendix to the Abolition of Man, you'll find 20 or 30 pages showing how there's a common moral law inherent to all major faith views. All right? And that's a good thing, and it speaks to the human condition.